Okay, so all my PC parts have arrived and we're gonna build it together. Let's go. So we're going to first start off with the motherboard. You want to get this sorted out early because it's a lot easier to put all the components in the motherboard now before you actually put that into the case and have all your wires sticking around everywhere. We want to first install the CPU. This is pretty straightforward. You just unlatch the holding, make sure you don't touch the inside of the conductors, and then you place the CPU down, close the latch, make sure it's secure. Then you want to install your RAM and your SSDs or your NVMe M.2 drives. So when you're installing your CPU and all your components on your motherboard, it's a lot easier to just place your motherboard on the box that it came in. That way you don't run the risk of having any static electricity running through your clothes and it just short-circuiting anything on the motherboard. So we just take the motherboard out of the box. So you also want to handle with a bit of care so that way you don't bend any of the transistors. So in the box you usually get the Wi-Fi antenna. Also this is the data cable for any SSDs, socket for the front LED front panel, spare pin, spare screws and some spare screws. So this right here is where your CPU will be housed. In my case, we've got the Ryzen 9. When choosing both your CPU and your motherboard, you want to make sure that the motherboard is compatible with your CPU so that the socket is compatible. And then you also want to make sure that you're getting something that will last a bit longer. In this situation, it's the AM5 socket, which is not new, but also is not really that old either. Comes with a little sticker, that's the CPU. Okay, so with this one, all you need to do to unlatch it, you usually just push down and the spring comes up. Then take this off, or lift this up. And you want to just have a quick look to see if there's any bent pins in here. That way you can return this item if it's faulty, if it's within warranty. Installing the CPU is pretty simple. You see that the CPU will have an arrow on the top here indicating the corner of where it's supposed to go into, which lines up with the arrow that's on the motherboard here. Yeah, in nice. So this itself, the black cover, will pop off once we close this and we lock this down. As you can see. And there you go, that's the installation of the CPU, all done. While you're here, you might as well get rid of these two brackets. That's just to hold your CPU fan if you're using a fan, or you'll be replacing it with a liquid cooler if you have those. Next, installation of NVMe drives. In the new motherboards, it's usually a toolless installation. So as you can see, this is just a latch that will pop up. You take this off. This, by the way, is the heatsink, so you need this back on. In most of the new motherboards, there are multiple lanes to install your drives. Usually the top one is the fastest, which is a Gen 5 in my case. However, this is a Gen 4 drive, so it won't utilize the full speed, but I'm just going to install it there anyway. I don't have anything else, and I can always replace it later. Installation is pretty simple. Slide it in. Another toolless installation. Latches here. That's closed. Peel off the sticker here. So there's your heatsink. And then put this back on. Done. your hard drive is installed. Or sorry, your drive is installed under the PCIe. Now it's time to install the RAM. 2 sticks of DDR5 RAM, and they go into these 4 lanes. However, for DDR5 and all the new motherboards, you're meant to put it into lane 2, which is this one here, the second one, and lane 4. So it's 2 and 4. Always put your RAM into these 2 lanes. You can use all 4 lanes if you like. Most of the time, people will use it for aesthetic reasons, which if they have RGB RAM, they'll just add it in for more lighting. And your motherboard will tell you which lanes are which. So here, in my situation, if I zoom in, you might be able to see in this spot here, that tells you which lane is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or it says A1, A2, B1, B2. And as I said, for DDR5, it's A2, B2. RAM installation is pretty simple actually. You just need to grab your sticks of RAM, make sure the notch is aligned with your notch. So in this situation, this is the correct orientation. If you put it in the other way around, you'll notice that it won't line up. So if you put it in the wrong way, the grooves will not line up and you won't be able to push it in. So all you need to do, make sure it aligns. When you push it down, you will hear a click, and also this latch will close by itself. So that's an indication that your RAM is seated properly. There you go. Done. 2 sticks of RAM successfully installed. So at this point in time, you've got your RAM, the CPU, and your drive installed. If you have any other drives, you want to put it in now. So at this point, it's time to put the motherboard into the case so then you can add all your other components. This here is the CORSAIR Frame 4000D. It's got a glass panel on the side so you can actually see inside. All the panels are off, so both side panels are gone, top panels off. There are pre-installed fans, so 3 120mm fans installed at the front. They are daisy chained, but it looks like the chain is left in there a bit messy, so I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. Also comes with an additional side mount panel, if you want to remove this one and just add 3 or just add some more fans on the side, intake fans if you like. To remove it, it's just one screw on top here and this panel comes right off. You want to keep this GPU holder. It's an anti-sag holder because if your GPU sticks out very far, it will hold this up so it doesn't sag and pull on your motherboard. So because I'm removing the panel that was here, the anti-sag arm needs to hold onto something else, which is what this is for. Okay, now that the frame is ready, I can now put in the motherboard. So the case usually comes with some alignment holes. So these are the motherboard risers here. So you just need to place your motherboard on top of those and then screw it in. There's 3, 6, 9 screws that you'll need. To secure your motherboard, you don't need long screws. The ones that come with the case are the thin ones here. The ones that come with the case are the short ones. And when you screw these in, you don't want to apply too much force. You don't need to tighten it too much. So at this point, it's time to start plugging in all the cords from the case into the motherboard. Okay, so all the cables are still back here. What came with it? We've got USB-C, the front panel audio, LEDs, and then power, and also fan. I have an extra fan, so I might as well install it now, so that way I can daisy chain it all together. So this is my spare, so this is the extra fan that I bought. I plan to mount this as an exhaust re-exhaust. Problem is, I don't know which is intake and which one's exhaust side. Luckily, with these fans, there are indicators. I don't know if you can see here, but there is an arrow that points to the left and one arrow that points up. The arrow pointing up means that that's the direction of the airflow. So the air will be going this way and the fan will be spinning this way. That's the arrow pointing. So if I want to install this as an exhaust, I will need to mount it like this. Done. For the front panel section, they're usually located here, so I can just plug it straight into it. Fortunately, with this case, it's all bundled into the one cord. I can plug it straight in. Audio is usually on the left, so it should be this one here. You'll see that the connector to the motherboard for the audio has certain connections to align it with the motherboard. So there is only one orientation that it will connect. So now we have the front panel to connect. Fortunately, this case has the connections all bundled into one, so I can just plug it straight directly into the motherboard without having to worry about which one is for the reset and which one's for the power. So the front panel connector goes here, this slot here, just onto the left side. Just like the audio connector, these have a certain connection orientation and you cannot plug it in, you can only plug it in one direction. And then for the USB connection, it's just this connection here. So my next step now is to install my all-in-one liquid cooler. I plan to put on a top mount and have it as exhaust. Okay, so let's get this mounted onto the top. So I will be most likely putting it in like this and having the cable run down into the CPU like that. So this just fits a 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler. Okay, top mounted liquid cooler installed. Now as you can see, I've got more fan connections as well, which I will need to daisy chain together and plug that into the motherboard. Okay, so now it's time to install the pump onto the CPU. First, we just need to remove the brackets that was already on the motherboard. For my situation, because it's an AMD, I just need to use the AMD provided brackets. Don't forget, you need to apply thermal paste onto the CPU first and make sure it makes contact with the pump before you screw it down. Okay, so at this point I've got the RAM installed, CPU, my drive, rear fan, the top mounted AIO. Now that the only thing left is for the power supply and the GPU. Okay, so I have a modular power supply, which means I need to connect all the necessary cables for the computer. So I will need the PCIe for the graphics card, CPU, the other PCIe for graphics card. I will be using an SSD as well, so I will need this power for the SSD. And you've got the main motherboard power. And that should be it actually. Okay. It's the next day now, my battery died, but we'll pick up where we left off last night, and that's to install the final component, the GPU. It'd be a lot easier to install this with the tower lying down, so you can just slot this straight down. You need to remove a few of these brackets here. I think for my one, it will most likely be 3 of these top 3 ones, and then you'll slot it into the top PCIe connector here for your graphics card. So similar to the RAM, you just slot it in and push it down, and you should hear a click for the PCIe capture. Perfect, so the GPU is now installed. We just need to plug in the power supply. We just need to plug in the 3 8-pin cables. PCIe cables, they come in a 6+2 like this, and there's also a daisy chain, but with this one it's recommended to have all 3 connected. I only have the 2 cables. For an 850 watt power supply, it is acceptable to plug in one by itself, so it's a separate cable, and then the second cable, it is acceptable to have a daisy chain like this, so all 3 would be connected like that. Normally, if you can, you would have 3 separate cables for each plug. So to plug it in, you can just combine the 2 together and push it straight in. Make sure it's seated correctly and it goes all the way in. So now we're done. The GPU has been installed, all the parts have been installed now, so all that's left is just to boot it up and install all the drivers. And we'll do that in the next video.